But yeah, I love the idea. I even have I have a scorecard, and when we talked about it, you have a similar scorecard, so we will
I
pop
thought
that
the
up.
good thing, I thought the good thing, I thought the good thing that you said when we talked about it was, obviously I'm taking them on the course, I'm collating this data, and I'm very privileged. I'm at a quiet course where I can do that. Not everyone can do that. So I
Exactly.
think if you want to get, if you can't get on a golf course and you want to get closer to what I'm doing, what you're saying about hitting a putt, going and then hitting a chip or hitting a driver, and then coming back and hitting a putt, that's a great way to represent that. And that that creates the context that we need. But
Absolutely.
like you say, not everyone, or like I just said, not everyone can do that. So if you can't do that, the question is, how close can you get
Exactly.
to doing that? And that's where you've done a great job of that if you can't get out onto the golf course.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said before, I still think there's value in everything, right? I still maybe we haven't mentioned this, but we're trying to make a couple of episodes, right? Rather than having a full hour that people have to listen to, we're going to make a couple of episodes, and this is obviously episode 1, talking about assessments. I think there's still value in a static, controlled environment. 10 times the same shot or block practice or whatever you want to call it, I still think there's value in that as well. The reason why I switched basically straight to Capto when I first saw it and I fell in love with it right away is that Capto allows me to do the other stuff as well. And that for me is the most important part. I mean, whatever kind of coach you are, if you're 100% performance coach like you are, I'm more of an all-round coach, so I do a lot on technical stuff. I do a lot on green reading, on strategy, going out on the course, making decisions. So Capto allows me to do all of it.
Yeah, and I think as well, one of the great things about Capto is if you have students that you trust, students that are willing to put a deposit down. I've not necessarily been in a lesson. Once I've done that initial on-course assessment, or once I've done that initial test, like you said, where I'll set them up a putting green challenge, but they'll have to do other challenges between each putt. Once I've done that and they understand and they can use the device, I will give them the Capto to go play 9 holes on their own, and then they're going to bring me back contextualized data. And I agree, there is a time and a place for, excuse me, for capturing in isolation. You know, Phil Kenyon does it. Preston Combs does it. David Orr does it. If they're all doing it, there's got to be something valid about it, right?
Absolutely. And there is,
There absolutely is. But like you said, I'm at the end of this spectrum. So actually as well, when I'm working with Capto, I'm getting the data from the player and I would send it to someone like Preston or someone like yourself. Because I'm not analyzing it. It's not my role. It's not my area of expertise. All I want as a performance coach is the purest data I can possibly get for performance. I'm not necessarily involved in the learning of the putting stroke. And that's where you are. That's the big difference. Absolutely. So Capto gives you the ability to wear both hats, right? The training to learn and the training to perform. And that's why. And it's like I say, it's to be able to capture that data and for it to be so simple to use that my students can get out there and use it. It's a powerful tool.
Yeah, one thing that for example, what you were talking about when using it out on the course, and maybe this is a good moment to pop up that image of the scorecard that I use. And when we talked about it, you use something similar, and we can edit that image in. I actually have on the scorecard, I even have a column saying if the player feel that it was a technically sound putt, or that they felt that it was a misread, or that they felt that it was a mental failure, or that they felt mentally strong, or they didn't feel mentally strong. So you actually get backup, like, okay, how did that feel like a technical, a green reading mistake, or was that a mental issue that we were talking about? And as you know, as a performance coach, sometimes your bad shots go in and sometimes your good shots are missed, right? But then it's still interesting information to see where did it go wrong and what happened on that particular putt. So yeah, I love the way you mentioned that, and you mentioned that as well in your GLT book, golf training. I'm not sure, is that the correct title? GLT golf training?
Golf, yeah, golf practice, how to practice golf and take your range game to the course. There was one more thing I want to add, actually. I do mention that in the book, and what I actually do is when I'm out with a player, I record all that stuff myself.
Yeah.
So the player will hit the putt and I'll be like, hey, what do you think of the process? How was your tension? How was your breathing? How was the read? How was the strike? What would you change? I'll ask a ton of questions. And then I'll also measure, did they miss low? Did they miss high? But I'm doing it all. And after speaking to you, I think having this scorecard and empowering the player to do it is a better learning experience. So
that's why I like it, because I think the player should take ownership of what he's doing and really trigger him to evaluate on all levels. And of course, the danger of data is that you overload your player with data, right? So, and you write a real interesting part in your book about feedback, that it's actually more effective to not give feedback after every shot. It's more effective to hit a couple of shots, then work on the feedback of a cluster of putts. And that's why I think that is so beautiful, because they just go out and play that 9-hole with a wedge in between 9-hole program, or you play 9 holes out on the course, and afterwards you take a little bit of evaluation time to walk through and give them feedback on what they've done, and then they take that into their next training session. Yeah,
I agree. It's really good, and I'm going to start getting my students to do that. I did do it with one tour player who thought he was a poor putter, and he recorded, very similar to your scorecard, he recorded everything on every putt for a long period of time. And he said, man, I'm a great putter.
Yeah.
All I do is when it's downhill, left to right, I underread it and I hit it too hard.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
And that was leading to 3 putts from 10, 12 feet.
Probably from birdie opportunities.
Yeah. Yep. Turning a birdie into a bogey.
Yeah.
And you can't do that on the European tour. So, but that all came from journaling. Yeah. That all came from journaling. Now, it would have been amazing. We didn't have a Capto at that time. It would have been amazing if we were capturing data in line with that journal.
Yeah, so let's. We're probably going to do a session on green reading, so we'll get more to that. But I think talking about assessments, I think this was real cool, because there's no just one way of doing it. There's different ways. There's absolute value in static measurement. There's value in random measurement. There's value in performance measurement. And if you can do all 3, fantastic. If you are more of an all-rounder coach, if you're more specialized like you, Iain, performance coach, you take to that side of the game. But hey, the possibility of one little machine to do it all, that is something that I find really cool.
Yeah, I agree.